So picture this. There is this village where everyone knows everyone. And in this village lived the most incredible dancer you could ever imagine. Her name was Adamma. And I am telling you, when this girl moved, it was like watching magic happen in real life. You know how some people are just gifted? That was Adamma. Whenever there was a wedding, and trust me, there were always weddings or festivals or some big shot ceremony, families would literally show up at her father's doors with gifts, kola nuts, clothes, whatever they could bring, just begging for Adamma to come and dance at their event. And when she danced, the whole atmosphere would change. People said the spirits themselves would stop what they were doing just to watch. The earth would seem to go quiet, like it was holding its breath. She wasn't just dancing, she was pure grace walking around in human form. Now, her father, let's call him Papa, he was this quiet, respected man, made the most beautiful brooms you'd ever seen before from pan fraud. People came from villages hours away just to buy his work. But here is the thing about Papa. He had been raising Adamma all by himself since her mother died in childbirth. This man loved his daughter with everything he had. Fierce, protective love. The kind that would move mountains, if possible. Everything was perfect in their little world until Chief Obi showed up. And guys, this is where the story gets dark. Really, really dark. Chief Obi was one of those men who thought his power meant he could have anything, and I mean anything he wanted. He saw Adamma dance at some ceremony, and that was it. Despite being old enough to be her grandfather, despite already having multiple wives, he decided he had to have her. So he goes to Papa with this proposal. But Papa took one look at him, at this old man, and said no, absolutely not. Now, most people would respect the answer and move on, right? Not Chief Obi. This man did not handle rejection well at all. When bribes didn't work and he tried everything, he sent his men. But here is where it gets even worse. These weren't men coming to negotiate. They were coming to take Adamma by force. And when they saw her, they made their own evil decision. There was a struggle, screams that the night just swallowed up. And when the sun rose, Adamma was gone, dead, her blood staining the very ground she used to dance on. The village knew. Everyone knew exactly what had happened and who was responsible. But you know what messed up? Nobody said a word. Not one person. Chief Obona's power was like this invisible chain around everyone's throat. Papa cried for justice, begging people to stand with him to speak the truth. But they looked away, every single one of them. And it got worse. The other chiefs, probably scared of Obonna themselves, they turned on Papa completely, stripped him of his land, his water well, even the palm trees he needed for his livelihood. They left this broken man with absolutely nothing. Papa was so heartbroken, so betrayed by his own community, that he refused to bury Adamma in their village cemetery. Instead, in anger, he carried her body to the abandoned forest. Months passed. Life in the village went back to normal, whatever normal means when you are all complicit in murder. Then came the first wedding after Adamma's death. Picture this scene: music playing, people celebrating, the usual joy and chaos of a village wedding. Then, from the edge of the forest, from the edge of that same forest where Adamma laid alone, something emerged. A masquerade, but not just any masquerade. This one looked distinctly female. Painted masks covering its face, robe that seemed to flow like morning mist. The movements were hauntingly familiar, graceful, beautiful, exactly like, well, exactly like Adamma used to dance. Every step, every gesture, it was like watching her ghost made manifest. When the music ended, the masquerade just vanished back into the trees. No sound, no trace, just gone. People were amazed. They whispered about spirits and blessings, about ancestors coming to celebrate with them. It felt mystical, beautiful even. But then, a few days later, the bride's younger sister went for a walk into the forest and she never came back. And this was just the beginning. The next big ceremony, Chief Obi was hosting it for yet another new wife, because apparently the man collected them like trophies. Again, the female masquerade appeared. Again, it danced with those hauntingly familiar movements. Again, days later, one of Chief Obona's daughters went missing. She just walked into the forest and disappeared. When he held another ceremony to mourn his missing daughter, the same thing happened. The masquerade danced and another daughter vanished. You see the pattern here, right? The first person to really notice, to really understand, was Papa. He had watched his daughters dance for years. He knew every movement, every gesture, every little flourish that made her style unique. And there was this particular step, this little spin she only did whenever she spotted him in the crowd during performances. The masquerade did that exact same step, looking right at him. At first, Papa felt something like satisfaction. The man who murdered his daughter was losing his own children one by one. It felt like a cosmic justice, a cultural justice. But then other families started suffering. Every time there was a ceremony, every time the masquerade danced, a young girl from that household would disappear into the forest within days. This wasn't his Adamma, not the sweet, loving girl he had raised. Something else was wearing her form, using her movements for something dark and hungry. That's when Papa remembered something crucial about his daughter, Adamma. She had always hated palm trees. As a little girl, she'd cry when the branches pricked her skin. She refused to help him weave brooms because she said the palm frods bit her fingers. It was this tiny detail, but it stuck with him. So, when his close friend was planning his daughter's wedding, Papa made a decision that would save that family's life. He took the tallest palm frond he could find and laid it right across the entrance at the wedding. People stepped over it without thinking. Just another piece of debris, right? But when the masquerade arrived, it stopped cold at the threshold. Wouldn't cross over that palm frond. It just stood there, perfectly still, like it had hit an invisible wall. Papa watched this happen, and his heart just broke all over again, because he realized his daughter, or what was left of her, was still in there somewhere, still afraid of those palm thorns that had hurt her as a child. He went home and pulled out something that he hadn't touched in an old wooden drum, the same drum he used to play for Adamma when she was little, making rhymes just for her. He sat in front of his house and started playing, slow and steady beats, filled with all his grief and love and regret. The masquerade heard him. It turned away from the wedding and walked straight to his compound. And there, in front of his home, it danced. Every movement perfect, every step in time with his drum beat. When he stopped playing, it bowed. It actually bowed to him, then turned and melted back in. From that day forward, every ceremony in the village started the same way, with a tall palm frond laid across. It became this unspoken tradition, a word against laws that nobody questioned anymore. And for Papa, he plays his drum now every time there was a ceremony in the village. Not for the villagers who abandoned him, not for the community that failed his daughter. He plays for the thing that moves with Adamma's grace, but hungers with something else. He never calls it a ghost. He never calls it evil. He simply calls it what he has always called her. He called it Adamma. As for Chief Ogbonna, in his grief, he found comfort at the bottom of a palm wine bottle, night after night. One evening, drunk beyond sense, he saw the masquerade again. It danced with the same enchanting steps that first drew him to Adamma. He smiled and called her name and followed it into the forest. Of course, he never came back. They say the forest took him, that he dances now too, blind, broken, swaying forever in the shadows. Let me know. So what do you think happened to those missing girls? And what do you think that Adamma has become? Let me know in the comment section below. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more stories that will keep you up at night.